When the team says, let's get them, they're talking about this group. Make the plays, man. The plays they're going to make themselves.
You want to talk about easy pickings.
He's lost the football. And the Steelers have the ball.
Hey, when they're up against it, they're going to run Lamar.
Throws intercepted, picked off, Marlon Humphrey, he's going to the house.
It ain't going to be easy, but what's easy, man?
Backpedaling, firing to the end zone, and he makes the catch. Touchdown, Mark Andrews.
It's a big stage because we're here.
Meet in the wildcard round tomorrow night in Baltimore, and that is where we begin on NFL Live as the playoffs start. Hard to believe. Dan Orlovsky in the house, Mina Kimes and Ryan Clark fresh off of Notre Dame's big win.
Yeah, what were you guys doing last night?
We were in Miami hours ago.
Taking pictures together.
I told RC, don't worry. I'm like, man, your son just basically like won the biggest game ever. Like, do not come into work today. So kudos to RC.
Yeah, wait, what about me? I took a 7 a.m.
Yeah, you
flight
gotta
out
get
of
back
Miami,
here,
man.
Hannah. You gotta get back.
Yeah, hey,
I am here for we
bro,
are devoted.
I got a pizza box stacked under a Kleenex box with a FaceTime iPad on it. So if it ever falls during the show, guys, just please excuse me. I'm just going to pick it up
football.
and work
We
through
blame
it.
Notre Dame football.
All right, let's go to your other favorite team. All right, RC, let's go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Russell Wilson came to the Steelers on a one-year deal, and his play has been trending down, while Baltimore's defense has been trending up. Over the last 4 weeks of the season, Wilson ranked 30th in the NFL in total QBR and yards per attempt. Meanwhile, that Ravens defense, they ranked top 2 in both categories. Wilson also struggled to complete passes. He's taken sacks at a high rate. RC, what are your expectations in this game, which could be so pivotal to his future?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you have to look at the way Russell Wilson has turned the ball over this year in some of the biggest games. And when he became the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, it really was sort of boom or nothing. One thing that sticks out to me about watching Hard Knocks was listening to the Baltimore Ravens secondary coach say, with this guy, it's either three-pointers or layups. There's no mid-range game. Yeah. And I thought about this. Okay, is it because Russell Wilson doesn't work in the mid-range, or they don't really have receivers and skill players that win in those areas? And I believe it's a little bit of both. So how do they create those plays? And the other piece of it is this. Early on in the season, you could say that Russell Wilson could exploit this Ravens defense with big plays in the passing game, but they really shored those things up over the last 6 weeks of the season. So this could be a really difficult task for the quarterback if George Pickens doesn't make some huge plays in one-on-one situations.
Yeah, Ryan, that's such a good point about the lack of that intermediate passing game. It's been kind of an issue with Russ now, going back to his time in Denver. When he has been able to access that part of the field, a lot of it has involved Pat Freiermuth, their tight end. So I think he needs to be a big part of this game, outside of the obvious shot plays outside the numbers to George Pickens. The other thing, going back and watching their Week 16 matchup, he actually moved the ball pretty well. It was the turnovers that killed them. But what struck me, and this has been the case, I think, throughout much of Russell Wilson's time in Pittsburgh, the ball has to come out fast. It's when he holds on to it that bad things, sacks, negative plays happen. But when he's throwing the ball in rhythm, he's able to hit on, in this last matchup against Baltimore, he hit on, I think, his best throws. Thinking about the post to Jefferson versus cover 2, one of his best throws of the entire season. The wheel route to Patterson, the seam ball to Ben Skoranek. All of those throws happen quickly. So I think that's going to be key for Russ in this one. Can you play in rhythm instead of trying to extend?
I'd also say this. They got a run block significantly better. It's really been an issue for this team all season long is there's mis-IDs in the run game. They're very disconnected when it comes to the run game. Number one, the tight ends. The tight end group has to play better in the run game. I want you to pay attention right side of the screen. The offensive line all moves to the right side of the screen. The tight end steps one way, then goes back the other way. They don't secure the edge of the line of scrimmage, and it's a run for no yardage. The second part, they don't move together in unison. The left guard is the only person moving on this play right now. The whole right side hasn't even moved. So there's different levels to the run game. Everyone's going, Najee Harris doesn't run the football. Where is he supposed to go? Because when you're disconnected, someone is consistently getting beat. Once again, watch the right side. You want to get a double team to capture the edge. That's pretty good landmarks, except the double team doesn't happen. And they're late. And instead of getting that edge set in a seam, there's nothing there. And then the second part, in their pass game, and it's a little bit to what RC and Mina are talking about, they're not Baltimore defense if you're going to let George win one-on-one. Somebody outside of George or opposite George, including Russell Wilson, one, has to be ready for it, and then two, has to take advantage of it. This Steelers run game has been an issue all year. It's why they're so bad on first down, and I do think it puts the pass game in a very disadvantageous situation.
Yeah.
There you
that
go.
was good.
There
I love
you
it.
go.
Yay, word of the day. Sound it out.
Disadvantageous.
By the way, in case we see some wrinkles, right? Justin Fields, he hasn't played since week 15, that abdominal
Yeah,
injury,
they have to find a way to be
good to go.
They have to find a way to be better on first down. Have to.
That's it. Much more on this game coming up. We're going to go to the other side. Meanwhile, the playoffs kick off in Houston. The Chargers are going to visit the Texans tomorrow afternoon. Quarterbacks Justin Herbert and C.J. Stroud perform very differently when they face better competition this season. So against teams that finish with a winning record, Justin Herbert threw for 10 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, fourth best ratio in the NFL. But what about C.J. Stroud? Really struggling against better competition, throwing 3 more interceptions than touchdown, finishing with a 40 QBR, each of those ranking bottom 5 in the NFL. So, Dan the man, how do you anticipate that this Chargers defense is going to make life difficult for the second-year quarterback?
They'll lie to everybody on the offense. They'll show you one thing, and then it's really another thing. And so often we talk about it as, you know, it only impacts the pass game. I think one thing that this defense in LA does with Jesse Minter is there's late rotation. So a lot of times you get to line of scrimmage as an offense and you think, oh, I could run the football because there's going to be 2 safeties, or I could run to a weakness. And then all of a sudden that rotation happens late and we're down a body as an offense. And I'm like, dang, we missed that one. I think the second thing is they're really good at understanding or predicting when you are going to run the football, and they get into their run blitzes where people are slanting or moving at angles and they create advantage for themselves. And RC knows this. Their disguises are absolutely diabolical. And so if you are in those obvious passing situations, you're so often as a quarterback and as an offense just guessing of who's coming from where, what's the coverage, and where's the vacancy. And that is a huge opportunity for this defense, and it stinks for an offense that doesn't protect well.
And that's what's extremely scary if you're C.J. Stroud, DeMeco Ryans, Bobby Slowick, is that you've had trouble with these teams that can bring pressure but also disguise their looks, man. I think back to watching Green Bay early on this season and how effective those tackle stunts are, or adding a backer to a 4-man rush. And this truly started a little bit against the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs last year. And so some sort of way, you're going to have to get the football out of C.J. Stroud's hands early, those quick screens, opportunities for Joe Mixon in the pass game, because if you can't do that, if you get behind the sticks with Mentor's defense, the defense coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers, you're in trouble. And the way that they use Derwin James as sort of that chess piece in those disguises and in those rushes is going to be huge for C.J. Stroud to navigate and pick up pre-snap.
Mina, let's go to the other side. What do you expect Greg Roman's game plan to look like for Herbert and company?
Well, first of all, I do think Herbert can and will push the ball downfield the way he has this season to Ladd McConkey. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Greg Roman leans a little bit on what his old team, Baltimore, did against the Texans, and goes particularly with regards to the ground game. So the Texans have an excellent run defense, but I thought Baltimore did a really good job of taking advantage of their aggression on the defensive line with some of those trap and wham runs that I think we'll also see from Roman. And then what you see here, Herbert as a runner. So Lamar ran for over 100 yards, right, on Houston. And you can look at that and say, well, that's Lamar Jackson. But the Texans have statistically been one of the worst defenses in the NFL against rushing quarterbacks all year long, allowing the most yards per carry of any defense. Meanwhile, Justin Herbert this year has the most carries of his entire career. So don't be surprised if we see some designed runs for Justin Herbert baked into this game plan, because it's been something that Houston has struggled to defend.
Yeah, meanwhile, Herbert, he only has 3 picks all season. How about that? Very, very impressive.
Playing awesome.
Yep. All right, we have 6 picks across the show today. Let's see who we got. Ooh, RC is on the Texans. I feel bad that I'm not. It's the first time I'm picking against him.
Hometown.
But RC, what do you know that we don't?
I actually don't know anything. Like, this is purely a guess. This is off of emotion, and it's not one of those like Marcus things where I just didn't want to pick a score and I was being contrarian the entire show. You know, I feel like at some point a team has to dig deep. At some point a team has to have some understanding that you got to be a dog and step up make plays, protect your quarterback, and defensively, a guy like Derek Stingley has to show us why he's one of the best ball guys in all of football, along with Kalen Bullock.
And you are on your home field. It's been somewhat of a disappointing season, so we will see. All right, some top stories to get to now, and we start with the NFL making the decision to move Monday's Vikings-Rams game out of SoFi Stadium as a result of the devastating wildfires still raging in Southern California. That game will now be played on Monday night in Glendale, Arizona at State Farm Stadium, host of the Cardinals. The league saying that this decision was made in consultation with public officials, the teams, and the NFLPA. Meanwhile, the Lions are on a bye week, and their two coordinators are very busy. 4 interviews for OC Ben Johnson in the next 48 hours with the Patriots, Raiders, Bears, and Jags. Meanwhile, DC Aaron Glenn is...
Prepare yourself. Be ready. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself.